What's up, my buttercups? Welcome to Mel's Magic, episode 19 already. It's the 16th of December and time is flying. As promised, I'm recording from my setup B because I like the light. Voila, I like the lighting in here. Okay, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm definitely doing better. Energy is completely different compared to yesterday. And I thought about it and I really found it interesting. I wasn't even sure if I should publish the video from yesterday, episode 18, but I thought, just like with episode, was it 10 or 11, about the twin flame journey, should I publish it or not? But then again, it's part of it. Those moments of not even weakness, those moments when we feel differently, when the energy is not high flying, when the energy is simmering and incubating, it's still valid. It's still a valid and important part of the journey. So I'm leaving the things out there. I'm leaving episode 11, 10, 11, and 18 out there. However, I thought about yesterday and the way we spoke about, these inner conflicts we often have between the light and the dark parts. And I'm sure you've heard about it, this whole notion of shadow work. Carl Gustav Jung spoke about it a lot. Jungian psychology, depth psychology, where the notion of there are parts of ourselves, like mini personalities, that are away from our conscious awareness. So they're in the so-called shadow. It doesn't mean that the shadow is necessarily bad. I mean, Freud was much more along the lines of, everything that's like sexual repression is in the shadow, it's all negative. But Jung actually looked at it in much more positive light. He did say, though, that those aspects or fragments of our personality that remain in the shadow are very powerful in the sense that they can totally override our waking consciousness, our rationality, because precisely because they work from the shadows. They're out of our awareness. Let's say, for example, you really want to be successful, but you keep on self-sabotaging, or there's a part of you that self-sabotages, and it comes in kind of spurts of irrationality. You can't even get your head around it, precisely because that part is operating from the shadows. So one can find immense strength once you look into the so-called closet and see what's in there. It's like going in with a flashlight and illuminating, bringing those parts that are in the shadow into your consciousness. And I'm speaking about all of this because yesterday I was talking about the inner child and the little Melanie and how I've been feeling a bit, let's say, vulnerable, no, over the past few days. And that it was important for me to integrate the little version, the 2-year-old, 5-year-old version of me into my adult self, because I felt all of my life that the little version was in the shadow, operating from the shadows and literally sabotaging me, to the point actually where I completely crashed, and ended up, a bit like the hero's journey, started off from home and ended back home just to find myself, to find that little version of me I had forgotten or left behind. So having integrated her little version of me from my shadow, because it was out of my awareness up to that point, has given me a lot of strength, actually. And it's interesting because I pulled some cards today. It's really magic, I'm telling you. They literally reflect this, I guess, my current state of being. So the first card I want to share with you is from the Wild Unknown Pocket Tarot. I love this. Mini tarot is so cute. And I pulled the 7 of Wands. And as you can see, there's 6 wands kind of apartándose, like separating themselves. And there's one, like on fire, literally. And the significance of this card is basically strength and courage. Regardless, you have what it takes. You have the fire inside of you that burns and that can do away with all obstacles, all self-doubt, all limiting beliefs, in fact. I mean, essentially, there is no enemy out there. We're just battling ourselves, finding ourselves, coming home to ourselves. There's nothing else out there, in a sense of we can only see reality, or we can only perceive things from our state of being. That's what I mean when there's nothing out there. I mean, obviously there's stuff out there, no? But I'm saying everything, we can only see the world around us through our own filter. And if that filter is distorted from either, shadow aspects ruling you, or a fragment from the past, i.e. you're circling in a loop, in a trauma loop from the past, you're repeating the past, it will affect you immensely. I mean, it can impact the way you're able or not to live in the present moment and to see the present moment with fresh eyes or not. So it's huge. So hence this work on the self is so important, I mean, I used to go out there and always look for answers or validation or justification or aprobación, how do you say that? Or even approval from outside of me. It's crazy. It's like, it's the ultimate coming from lack, because I didn't trust myself. But having come home now to myself, it's changing everything from the inside out. And I'm telling myself, literally, I have the power, the strength, the fire that it takes to shine and to be me and to be whole again. As cliche as it sounds, Bon, voilà. I mean, this card is like the ultimate card of encouragement. On fire. See. And interesting enough, I pulled from I forgot the name again. Very well. From this deck, I think the Sacred Animal deck, whatever. I pulled this card again. And I thought I had made a mistake because I was shuffling, no? And the card flipped out again. And I was like, that can't be. I just pulled that card yesterday. So I shuffled it, I put it back in the deck and shuffled again. And it fell out again. So I'm like, okay, this is a sign. I'm going to stick with the card. But what was interesting is that in the little guidebook, it said, focus on one of the animals that speaks to you. So interestingly enough, yesterday, when I was still in this kind of, I don't even want to call it fragile, because it's not fragile per se. It's more sensitive. And I mean sensitive in the most powerful way, because just because you're sensitive doesn't mean you're weak. Cuidado. But yesterday I was in a different stage of being. No, I'm sure you can tell also by watching episode 18. And the animal that drew me in was the wolf yesterday. And the wolf stands for intuition, caution, psychic abilities, sensitivity. So I was drawn to the wolf yesterday. But today I was drawn to the big boss bear, man. I'm like, yo, he's calling me in. And I mean, it's not hard to tell now that the bear stands for courage, strength, determination, very much along the lines of the wand on fire. So, inner strength. What I'm trying to say is that, it takes courage to really face yourself, to sit with yourself. I go over the same stuff, but it's so important, so I want to reiterate that. It takes courage to go inside of you and face yourself and stop running away. That is a huge deal. It takes courage to accept yourself. It's another thing. It takes courage to accept that there are parts of you that you don't like and that we kind of repress now, and they end up in the shadow and we start projecting them onto other people. So it takes courage, or maybe humility, to accept like, hey, I'm great, but there are also parts of me that are definitely not great and they suck. But hey, I'm going to accept them. I'm going to accept all of me. So it takes courage and strength, and it takes determination to, malgré tout, Malgré the battle between dark and light, to keep on going and believing in yourself. Today I really came to this epiphany. I'm like, yo, no one is gonna value me if I do not value myself. And people can tell you all kinds of stuff, like all kinds of compliments, like well done, bravo, this, that. It will never stick if you do not see your own self-worth. It all starts and ends with you. Yeah. And people will feel that. People will feel once you stand in your power. I mean, you give off a whole different energy, a whole different vibe. The thing with vibe is real. In any case, I was drawn to the bear. Yep. And the other card I drew from the other deck, which I can't remember the name again, Daiwal, this one, was Balancing Act. And remember yesterday I was speaking about this, I felt like I was on a seesaw between the light and the dark. So it is a balancing act, no? And I love the imagery on here. There's this kind of statue, like a Greek statue looking over the horizon. She's holding on to this string, and there's this like very precarious bubble and a galleon. I love galleons. I don't know another word for galleon, so I just call it galleon. One of those big ships balancing on that string, no? And then there's some like heart confetti flying around. I mean, I love it. So the whole thing looks like, whoa, she better not let go of that string. Otherwise the thing is it's gonna go all over the place. But it's what we talked about yesterday, it is a balancing act. We are complex beings, multidimensional, multifaceted beings, and to really get to that point where you yourself feel equilibrado, in balance. I mean, it's not a static thing, no, it's a constant like compensating. If one thing is out of balance or too far, even too far into the light is dangerous. You gotta pull it back. We are both. We are light and dark. So it is a constant balancing act. It's never static, it's dynamic, just like life is, just like everything is in flux. So I guess, episode 18 and this episode shows exactly that. It's a balancing act between a seesaw between energies, also the way you feel. I can't be always on this vibe, although I'd love to. I'm just being honest and showing all of my vibes, including one of yesterday where I was different, no? But it's part of this. It's part of this ongoing forward spiral. We are ultimately on a spiral of evolution, and the most important thing is to really keep having faith in yourself. Malgré tout, a pesar de todo, es egal was passiert ist, wir sind immer noch here, we're still here, and nobody knows what you've gone through really but you yourself. People from outside don't really know what's going on inside of you and how far you've come. So it's important to take a step back and like cut ourselves some slack. Yeah. And let's keep that balancing act going. Okay, let's keep going. We're doing fine. And if you take a look back this year, I'm sure, it's been a mad year. So many things happened, and I feel like I've come a long way, and I want to congratulate myself for that. At the end of the day, we are supposed to be our own best friends. No one's going to come and rescue us. And we start and end this journey on our own. So we might as well make the best of it and get to know yourself. You're wonderful, You're wonderful. And do have the courage to look into the shadow and know that you have the torch that can illuminate your own shadow parts and pull those shadow parts into your awareness. You never know. There's so much power in the shadow too. If you're interested in more of, shadow work, you can look it up. There's so much material out there on the net. But for the time being, enough with me, yada yada, I'm going overboard. I wish you a wonderful Friday, TGIF. All right. Oh no, Friday. Oh my God, guys, sorry. Thursday. Oh, I'm getting that calendar out. Thursday, vale? And I'm gonna finish season 1 of Mel's Magic with episode 21. So we're on 19. Got 2 more to go, vale? Os mando un gran abrazo. Keep believing. Chin up. Okay? Ciao. Besos. Tschüss.